Hi, sixth grade. How are you today? So we are actually going to jump ahead a few lessons. So we're actually up on lesson 9. We're going to be talking about a second invasive species, and this one is actually a little closer to home. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to do today. Hit that toolbar thing. All right, so today is not Thursday. Wow, forgot to change that. Today is Tuesday, May 12th. Your agenda today, you should have done your bell work question. Very easy question. This video lesson, and then activity 9.1 in Google Classroom. Reminders, please turn in assignments. Things are going to be wrapping up. I need to have everything in by Friday. If it's not in by Friday, it won't go in the grade book no matter how much you cry. So please make sure that you are doing things. All right, so daily work, you need to do your bell work and your Google form for activity 9.1. Remember, it is set up for a quiz, but that does not mean it goes in as a quiz. It's just an assignment. So by the end of this lesson, you will know what the Quagga mussel is and how it affects us here in Las Vegas. All right, so I'm going to go back to the first picture because it shows you a very nice close-up of what a quagga mussel looks like. A quagga mussel is a type of animal. It is called a bivalve, like a clam. It just has two, a top and a bottom shell, and the mature mussel will put out little string-like attachments, and they will attach themselves to a solid surface. And this can be anything as long as it is solid, and that keeps them in place. And they're filter feeders, so they just eat the algae and everything else in the area. So why are they a problem? Well, let's look and see what's going on. Quagga mussels originally came from gotta check my notes so I get it right. Quagga mussels originally came from Eurasia. Sorry, bit of pause there. Okay, and until the mid 1980s, there were no zebra or quagga mussels. They're both the same, not the same species, but they're very closely related. Um, and there wasn't any in North America. And so, how did they get here? Well, they think that they attached themselves to ballast water tanks in commercial ships. So they hitched a ride, and when they would release the ballast or the weight water to keep them stable, the baby quagga mussels and zebra mussels would flow out with it, and they had a new place to live. So now, just like the sea lamprey, quagga mussels don't have natural predators in these areas. Plus, our water is nice and warm. Okay, so instead of having two hatchings a year or breeding periods a year, in especially in the Northwest United States, Southwest United States, gotta remember where I'm at. The water is warm. They can have up to 7 breeding periods, and each adult female mussel can lay up to 1,000,000 babies. Okay, so the million eggs that hatch into larvae. So they are prolific. They breed like crazy. Now you can see that they're quite small. Okay. So, how can they be a problem? Well, let's look and see. All right, this is just a regular beer can that's been in the water for not too long. See how fast they've grown, and they've covered that whole can. Okay, so I've got a few other pictures to show you. This is a tennis shoe, okay, that has been encrusted. Now look at, you can see the lace. The lace is not rotted away. This has not been in the water for years. This has only been in the water area for less than 6 months. And look how fast it's been coated by these. Okay, and this was found in Lake Mead. They are in our lakes. Okay, so we get our water from Lake Mead. We get our electricity from Lake Mead. Okay, so here we have some of the water pipes. Okay, so here's when it's new. Now this is 2 months with quagga mussel growth on it. This is 4 months. This is 6 months. Okay, you look how fast they grow, and they just spread out and they just cover everything. They are a big problem. Okay, so I do have a video for you to watch. It's about 5 minutes. Okay.
Neighbor mussel, an invasive mussel. Something that gets this big is a really big one. Or there'd be thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands in a drop. These veligers, they're microscopic, so you really can't see them. The thing is, they reproduce so much. It's the numbers. It's not so much their size. It's the amount. It's the amount of mussels that can clog up a large drain pipes and clog up your boat. And we in the Southwest, we kind of depend on water moving, so that really can affect us here in the Southwest. And it is again here at Havasu and at Meade. Dam operations that they've had to, in fact, oddly enough, some of the things they've had to do is really maintain their fire suppression, because the fire suppression, of course, that's tubing all over the dams. I'm being simplistic, but tubing all over the dams. Well, if that gets clogged up and something happens to a generator that costs millions of dollars, and they say it again catches on fire or something, that's not a good deal. And they've found evidence of those being in those areas. They get everywhere. Well, back in 2007, we found evidence of, we found a lot of evidence that they were in Meade. And then in that same year, we found, they're also in Mojave. They're downstream in Havasu. And goodness gracious, now they're in Pleasant, all in the same year. So basically, they all got infested about the same time.
In 2011, quagga mussels were found to infest Red Mountain Lake, an urban fishing lake in Mesa, Arizona.
This is a very popular fishing spot. This is a very intensely managed park, a very intensely managed fish stocking program. And this is a very popular park that the city of Mesa owns and operates. And we work as a partnership with the city of Mesa to run it as an urban fishing program lake. Having the quagga mussels in one of our urban fishing program lakes is very new for us. This is the first urban fishing program lake that has had quagga mussels. So today what we have is two divers that are going in the water, and there are specific locations that we know that have quagga mussels in them. We're going to send them off to look at those, take some pictures, some underwater pictures and some underwater video. We did set some PVC marker in the water as well for them to check, and just to gauge how quickly this population is establishing and growing within this lake.
In their native habitat, they reproduce once or twice a year. Here we have noted them reproducing up to 7 times a year. They like our water temperatures. And one female produces 1 million eggs a year. And so that kind of gives you an idea of how fast they grow and how prolific they are.
That looks like a quagga mussel right there.
Just need to dump it out and sift through them.
On this dive, the team finds only large adult quagga mussels.
So they're same size. They're same size, so that's
all those red ear sunfish we stock.
They think the smaller, younger mussels may have been eaten by a certain fish they stock in the lake.
Right now, we're saying that the red ear sunfish that we put into the lake have been effective, and that we're finding fewer quagga mussels than we found 6 months ago and a year ago. But we definitely need more data. We'll be back again in May or June in about another 6 months and dive again just to get better water quality, a little more time in the lake to be sure. But so far, that's the only explanation at this point, is that looks like red ear sunfish have been effective in helping reduce the quagga mussel population.
Back at Lake Havasu, a different approach must be taken.
Yeah, red ear sunfish love to eat these things. The red ear sunfish is just that. He's a sunfish. They're what we call a molluscivore. So they eat mollusks, and that's great. So they love chomping on these things. That's wonderful. In fact, over the past few years, we've gotten some state records out of Lake Havasu for red ear sunfish. Now let's look at this though. Red ear sunfish are not native to Arizona, or actually to the west. They're from the Mississippi drainage, just like largemouth bass. So they're a non-native fish anyway. Secondly, yes, they like eating these quagga mussel. So we've gotten state records out of Lake Havasu, but we still have a lot of mussels. We're not going to get rid of mussels with red ear sunfish. Now we get big, happy, and sassy red ear sunfish, but we still have plenty of mussels. Well, today we're out at Lake Havasu State Park, specifically Windsor Beach, and we're out talking to the boaters. We're talking about the don't move a mussel message. Now it's the law. Well, when they leave an aquatic invasive species affected lake, which is what Havasu is, which is what Meade is, which is what Pleasant is, Lake Pleasant in central Arizona, when they leave that lake, they need to clean, drain, and dry their boats. basically what we're trying to tell people is we don't want to be transporting these mussels, whether it be in standing water or maybe the live adult mussels themselves. So they need to clean their boat off, make sure it's rid of all weeds, anything that might be on the boat, drain it, because you want to get rid of all the water. So pull your plug as you're leaving the lake, before you leave the lake. And then certainly the dry part, as you're driving home, or maybe you park it up at the boat ramp, it'll dry out. It's Arizona, it should dry pretty quickly. What we're finding out is if people don't use the clean, drain, and dry method, especially the drain part, these things can, these veligars can attach into your boat and actually attach in your engine. And one of the things we're finding the adult mussels in people's engines in their water cooling system for the engine. Well, that's not real good. You clog that up. Next thing you know, you're out in the middle of the lake, and all of a sudden your engine seizes because it's now overheated. And you go, why did that happen? Invariably, we found out, oops, goodness gracious, well, you're clogged up with quagga mussels, so you really had no circulation in there at all. And they're happy in there. It's a nice environment, always kind of moist, probably getting fed in there. That's why, we try and espouse the clean, drain, and dry message, and also that decontamination stuff, getting in there and using hot water, actually very hot water, to go in and maybe clean out your engine.
Our best defense to keep quagga mussels away from unaffected lakes like Bartlett, Saguaro, Apache, and Roosevelt is to clean, drain, and dry your boat. Everything, every time. For more information on how you can do your part, visit azgfd.gov/AIS.
Okay. So that was a pretty cool little video about, whoops, we already did that one, about quagga mussels and what is going on that they are trying to do to help them. So in that small lake, that man-made lake that the lady was talking about, they were able to introduce another invasive species, or not an alien species, not an invasive species, the sunfish. And the sunfish like to eat mollusks. They like to eat the mussels. Okay, now stop and think. Why would that not work on a big lake like Lake Mead? Okay, well, do we know what effect the mussels or the sunfish would have? Okay, they're not normally here. We can't just put them into a new spot to take care of one problem. What if they made another problem? What if they became just as much of a problem? So just putting them into the big one isn't going to help solve the problem. Okay, they've tried different things like putting nets over intake valves, but the larvae for the mussels are so microscopic. Just one drop of water can have, what did he say, 1,000? Okay, that goes right through any kind of a mesh or a net because they're so tiny. So there's a lot of things that they're trying to do. One of your last questions today will be, what do you think could be a solution to the mussel problem? Okay, so excuse me, I'm so sorry. We will get into this a little bit more tomorrow. I hope you guys have a good night. Please do not forget to do your homework, and I will talk to you tomorrow.